An exceptionally good day to you whenever you are listening to this. When do you guys typically consume these episodes? Is it as soon as it comes out on Monday morning? Maybe on the way to or from work? I'm interested. Let me know on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. At It's Like Nasty, you know where it's at. Anyways, this is episode 25 of the It's Like Nasty podcast, and I decided to drop back into something a little more health related. This is definitely a strategy most people can try to apply to their lives to invoke some change, and it is something I do on a weekly, if not daily basis. It is likely you have heard of it since it was one of the big buzzwords alongside ketogenic diets in 2018, but that thing is intermittent fasting. I'm going to try to keep this subject matter as straightforward as I can and not get too sciencey at it. I know when I talk about this subject to people in person, about half of them will have that glazed overlook in about 2 minutes. Guys, it was such a game changer for me though. I feel it a disservice if I don't tell everyone I care about. Also, I'm going to refer to intermittent fasting as IF because it's a total tongue twister, and I'm not gonna try to say that 100 times fast, you know? Like toy boat or rubber baby buggy bumpers. At its basic form, intermittent fasting is where you essentially have 2 periods of your day. You have an eating window, in which you eat your day's worth of calories, and a fasting window, in which you abstain from consuming food. Now, the lengths of these windows will depend on what your goals are, or even what the plans you have going on that next day. One of the most common IF formats is the 16-8 model. This is where you do not eat food for 16 hours, and then you consume food during that 8-hour window. The 16-8 is where I started when I first tried IF, but when I'm going to try something, I tend to go all in, but for someone who is not sure about it, I would try it smaller and, work your way into it. You can tweak those numbers however you would like. Just know the longer the fasting window, the more benefits you typically experience to an extent. We're not trying to starve ourselves, this is not the point. In fact, before I talk too much about this, if you struggle with any kind of eating disorder, please see a doctor, and also do not embark on something like IF until body image or relationships with food improve, as not eating could lead those people to become even more unhealthy and develop even worse habits. The whole point of IF is to just take a break from consuming food. Never during our evolutionary history have humans eaten all day, every day, as most of us are doing now. It wasn't until very recently that food became so abundant that we could literally acquire it at a gas station. With convenience stores, gas stations, restaurants, and grocery stores being open super late or all night, if we wake up at 3 in the morning and want, pierogies, I bet you could go out there somewhere near you and you could probably find it. It's freaking nuts. And even more recently, with the introduction of things like Grubhub and Uber Eats, now you don't even have to leave your house to get all this food. Someone will literally bring it to your door. We have been convinced that we all must eat all the time for sustained energy, which resulted us in training ourselves to eat breakfast, second breakfast, lunch, snack time, dinner, dinner 2, dinner 3, more snacks, midnight snacks. Most people were raised this way, myself included, submitting to the overlord that is the stomach. You will eat now, peasant, or I will twist this organ into oblivion. We're at the point to where if someone skips breakfast, they think they're gonna die. Though they will likely and probably not die, they will more than likely struggle to be productive because they are now focused on wanting food. Then they will blame the lack of a bowl of sugary cereal as to why they could not perform their job at an optimal level. So because they missed one feeding, it brought on all these negative emotions and poor performance. This is a poor relationship with food, and it makes food seem more of a drug than nutrition, or the nourishment our body requires. Wouldn't it be better if you could regain that control over your body? Choosing when to eat as opposed to being told when to? Wouldn't it be great if your mind was fresh and productive whether you ate breakfast or not? Well, practicing IF can help you with both. Now, I get some kickback from others saying, well, if I'm not hungry, then why does my stomach ache? As I said, we have trained ourselves to expect food at certain times, so our hormones start kicking in around breakfast, around lunch, and so on. After doing IF for a while, you will start to lose those intense hunger pangs that we have personally programmed into our systems. It's tough at first, and it makes it may take a few weeks to get your body to reset. Once you do though, it's an amazing feeling being free to experience life without the constant thought of what you are going to eat next. Now you eat when you're actually requiring nourishment, and not just because it's 7 p.m., not just because it's lunchtime. Here's one of my favorite things about IF. You got something to do in the morning, like an AM flight or a meeting. Typical people would be worried about breakfast. No sweat, just skip it and eat those calories for dinner and lunch. So simple and convenient. Remember, for most people, it's more about how many calories and the quality of those calories that we consume, not when we are consuming them. The majority of benefits will come from allowing ourselves to take a break from consuming and breaking down food. It allows your body to relax. It allows your digestive system to take a break. Almost goes into a rest mode that allows you to allocate energy you're not wasting on digestion to other important body processes. This is why many people experience mental clarity while practicing IF. It takes a lot of energy to break down food. Think about after a Thanksgiving meal. Body is breaking down, I don't know, rough estimate, 6 pounds of food? That's a boatload of energy required to accomplish this task, and that's why so many are in need of a nap after power grazing like that. It's not the tryptophan that pulls you into that food-induced coma. IF can help us get some of our hormones back to a normal operating level. Some of these being leptin, which is your satiety hormone. Leptin lets you know when you're full and when you can stop eating. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone that tells the body, that it needs nutrition. I say nutrition, not food. When we get hunger pangs, our bodies are looking for specific vitamins, minerals, macronutrients, whatever. It's never looking for a Pop-Tart that would provide no value, and it's also why you will likely still be hungry after consumption of the tasty toaster pastry. The other hormone being insulin, which gets the most attention because of the rise of type 2 diabetes to almost epidemic proportions. Insulin is the hormone that basically unlocks our cells to let glucose or sugar in. We can then use this as energy or store for fuel later as fat. Alright, throwing around too much science here. Moral of the story is over-consuming food, especially the wrong foods, all the time can cause our hormones to get out of whack, and then all your signaling goes haywire. You'll think you're hungry when you're not. You won't know when you're full because leptin gets suppressed, and all the extra food will mean you are pumping out insulin all the time. If we are chronically doing this, there's even a possibility that our pancreas will stop producing insulin. Then we're in trouble. But hopefully, we haven't reached that point yet, right? Still time to improve your system, and IF may help. There is a surprisingly high number of type 2 diabetics that could reduce or even reverse the condition through diet and exercise. Throw some IF in there to help resensitize our body to insulin, and you got a recipe for success. Intermittent fasting is a stress on the body, but it's a good one, like when we work out. We break ourselves down so we can rebuild ourselves even better. So, do you want to try it? Do you think you could develop the discipline and the willpower to push through the tough spots at the beginning to make it to a point where you are in full control of your ship? As far as food goes, that is. Well, here's a couple of tips. Start small, try longer eating windows and smaller fasting windows, and slowly make the fasting window larger and the eating window smaller until you reach something that feels right to you. Plan fasting periods around your sleep. When I'm doing IF, I will stop eating food around 7 p.m. and not eat until 1 p.m. the following day. I think that's like an 18-6 split. and that's comfortable for me, but a good chunk of that time is spent sleeping. Big tip, drink lots of water. Staying hydrated while fasting is super important, so be sure you always have water on hand. And if you get a hunger pang, try drinking a glass of water first. Side tip, if you experience any headaches like I used to, throwing some sea salt into a glass of water to get some minerals in can help that situation. Don't consume calories or artificial sweeteners. The most difficult part for most outside of not eating breakfast would be if they typically consume overly sweetened beverages like coffee, tea, or sodas, like drinking a bunch of Monsters in the morning. Calories will break your fast, and there is some that believe that even artificial sweeteners will as well. Best bet is coffee or tea, black. But I use a little stevia in my morning coffee and still reap many benefits of IF. Or so it would seem. Be sure to eat your whole day's worth of calories in your eating window. Sounds obvious, but sometimes getting all your calories and servings of veggies in a 4 to 8 hour period can be tough. So do some planning. I personally eat about 2,400 calories a day, which includes 5 to 8 servings of vegetables. I don't know if you know, but veggies are super filling and low in calories. It's not just getting your calories in though. Be sure you're getting your protein, your healthy fats, and nutrients as well. Don't just save all your calories for the end of the day for pizza, or you'll be hurting the next day. But that's pretty much it. It seems a bit complicated at the beginning, but once you get used to it, it can actually make more sense in your life. Like meal prep. Now you won't need to prep that extra meal for breakfast. If you go the breakfast route, of course. Again, if this is something you would like to try, and you are not sure if you are healthy enough to give it a shot, please talk to your doctor about it. This is not a cure-all, and it won't be for everyone, but it isn't snake oil either. Also, don't do IF if you're pregnant. Wait until the little one arrives and then give it a shot. Guys, our main goal here is to develop a healthy relationship with food and improve our body image. We need to be in control of our own bodies, and experiencing what it's like to give your body a break sometimes may be just what it's looking for. If you guys try this, be sure to let me know how it made you feel and the results you experienced on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at It's Like McNasty. Be sure you also follow Ronald Joseph Design on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well. All right, let's take a break from the science and catch up on what we did last week. All right, guys. So last week we played a lot of The Division. So I picked up The Division 2 last weekend on accident. And I say on accident because I clearly thought there was one more page to the checkout process. I thought I was getting a discount on it. I was wrong, and there wasn't another page, so I went ahead and bought it on accident. Anyways, I had the funds for it. You know, I thought I was getting it for cheaper than what I was getting it for. We're fine. Anyways, I played it all week. It's fantastic. I'm definitely gonna have to cut back the time a little bit. You know, after the first 2 week hype kind of wears down, I'll cut it down a little bit, pare it back. Actually, I was thinking about just scheduling like a certain amount of time in every week. So maybe like just binge it on one day for like 3 or 4 hours and then don't play it for the rest of the week. Almost like a video game fast. Who knows? Anyways, so yeah, I played that a bunch last week. I did my journaling and meditation, didn't miss a single day yet. We're at multiple weeks now, probably 15 or 16 days by the time you're listening to this. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. It's great. Definitely keeping me in a better mood. And that's really what I'm looking for out of it. And plus it gives me a chance to write down things that I'm thinking about so I don't lose those thoughts, because I'm thinking about stuff all the time. Like just my anxiety just through the roof. And if I don't kind of express myself and get that stuff out there, it's tough. It's tough to, you lose all that stuff that you're thinking about, and instead of wasting all that anxious energy or whatever, might as well get it down on paper. Maybe it'll come up, maybe something will come of it, maybe something won't. Who knows? But I've been trying so hard to find what I want to do with the future of this podcast. Like I am just thinking of this stuff day in and day out. I'm struggling to find if I want to niche it out, I got to find a niche. Everything I keep coming back to is just so broad, and it's like there's so many other podcasters out there, so many other content creators that are doing the exact same thing. And it's not that I don't believe that there's not enough room for everyone. I just don't feel that kind of content needs to be out there, overly fluffy stuff like that I'm putting out. I'd like to do more tactical stuff, but I honestly don't have enough knowledge. Everything I say in these podcasts is just me. It's just me doing what I've tried to do, what I've learned, and you guys are basically living this stuff through me. I found what works for me and what I've seen work for other people, and that's what we're going off of. So anyway, I'm still working on figuring out a direction for the new podcast, so it might take a little while to come back after next week. Next week's the last episode, guys. Episode 26. It's going to be the final episode. So if you have any questions for me now, please hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Twitter, and I will answer those questions on the last episode. But other than that, I think the new podcast, I'd like to do more interviews. I'd like to get out of my comfort zone. I'd like to make the stuff a little less scripted, more off the cuff, because it's something that I need to practice, and I'd like to make it video form, even though I really don't have like a nice room or anything for you guys to look at, and it's gonna look kind of lame, but that shouldn't be what's holding me back, right? Got plenty of time to make that stuff look better, but for now, I need to get working on that, get an idea going, and figure that shit out. But anyways, I hope you guys had got something good out of this episode, as we only got one more episode left together, and I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Again, if you got any questions, please hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at It's Ludwig Nasty, and be sure to follow Ronald Joseph Design on Instagram as well. And you can watch my stories over there. I kind of keep things up to date. Not really. All this stuff, it's on the list of things that I have to get done and have to get better at, and we're gonna get there. But there's going to be some changes, and I will let you guys know when I do. So until next week, guys, please have a fantastic week. Later, guys.